You
few
got
things to talk about specifically, but the BET Awards just passed, or as you call them, the EBT Awards.
EBT Awards.
Yeah, I didn't even know, man. I mean, these things are flying by me, and I'm not even paying attention because I'm not really tuned in like that with the music. But someone tweeted this, Lonzo, and I would love your thoughts on it. They said the BET Awards were on and nobody even cared. This is what happens when you focus on gossip and bullshit and not actual music, end quote.
This is what happens when you let non-melanated people handle your business. Okay? You let non-melanated people think they know what you want, and they give you what they think you want as opposed to what we really want. Nobody knows us like we do. And they influence, influenced by social media, influenced by the racked up charge. I mean the trumped up fake ass likes and subscribes and downloads are not fake, but for the most the followers, and they buy into the bullshit. And after a certain point in time, nobody's listening, nobody cares because you heard all the bullshit. And I saw another post earlier today, and he said they could have had this at the strip club. I didn't see it. I was doing a gig last night myself, but I heard about it this morning. I haven't even seen any clips from YouTube on Facebook and Instagram. So I'm really out of the loop on this one right here. But again, this is what happens when folks try to manufacture a culture.
Yeah. When you were coming up, what was the big award that everybody shot for? Was it the Grammys in music?
Well, Grammys wasn't messing with hip hop back in the day. Grammys.
Oh, that's right.
Messing with hip hop back in the day. Grammys just got with hip hop the last 10, 15 years, 15, 20 years at the latest.
Yeah, they wouldn't even televise the award, the rap awards. I think Will Smith ended up boycotting it for that Fresh Prince album.
Yeah. He won, and they would even put him on television. Man, we had our own award shows. What was the big? I remember when I first went to an award show. I went to in Vegas. It was videotaped, wasn't live, but it was never consistent, and that was a big issue. That me and Unknown went to Vegas to cover an award show for Radioscope, Lee Bailey, and they videotaped it, but it still didn't have the same impact as the Grammys or whatever. Soul Train Awards became a pretty big thing they have at one point in time, but even they have kind of slipped up a little taste.
How big was Soul Train when you were coming up, Lonzo? When was Soul Train at its height?
When the first Soul Train Awards first came out, I went down. I got free tickets. They were just trying to put people in the Shrine Auditorium. I met one of my favorite exes, but my favorite exes there. And it was empty for the most. It was pretty much empty. It has a lot of seat fillers because they couldn't get anybody to commit to it. That's one thing about I noticed about us, especially celebrities. When somebody's trying to get something going, nobody wants to be a part of it until it's a success, which I think is the dumbest shit in the world. Like that same catch-22 situation that people do at your job. Well, you can't get experience. You can't get a job to get experience. Well, how am I gonna get experience if I ain't got no job? It don't make no sense. So you can't get no big names because ain't no big names here, but you want me to grow. And then as soon as I blow up, let's just say thing happened to Soul Train. I watched the Soul Train story. Don couldn't get nobody in the beginning. It was hard for him to get people in the beginning. All of a sudden, Soul Train became a staple in the community, and everybody wanted to be on Soul Train. And that's just how we do it, man. Meanwhile, if it was another show, everybody's mama gonna run down there. Run down there at the very beginning. It's gonna be an honor for whoever, and that's the one we all want to be at.
Yeah. So the show Soul Train didn't really take off. Just the show, not the actual award show. So that show didn't take off right away, huh? It was a slow beginning for Don Cornelius and them.
It started off. It was a small show, a local show in Chicago, and nothing more than what we do right here on social media, man. Didn't have the same global reach that we have nowadays. What we're doing right now and anything else, but he wanted to expand. He moved to California, and that's when he hooked up with GOODFRED. Him and GOODFRED hooked up before he came to California because GOODFRED's from Chicago too, if I ain't mistaken. And when when Don came to California, I think GOODFRED followed him, or one of them followed the other one, put it that way. And that was a whole movement that made both of them a lot of money.
We talked about GOODFRED before. That's the guy who made the oils that Johnson & Johnson ended up, I guess, low-key screwing.
Yeah,
tell everybody that story again. We talked about that about a year or so ago.
Yeah, my boy GOODFRED, me and his son Daryl are still partners right today. One of my walking buddies. We talked about GOODFRED on Sunday, man. Just out of the clear blue sky. Daryl saw an interview on Instagram with GOODFRED. GOODFRED created the first hair care product for naturals in the 70s. And it was simple, a very simple product. It's just water and glycerin. But that glycerin, in the summertime, turn your hair a light red, okay? It turns your hair light red. And then he eventually fixed it. But at some point in time, Johnson & Johnson came looking for GOODFRED. They wanted to buy his company. They get off like $3 or $4 million. And GOODFRED was a true entrepreneur. Nobody did anything but Fred, but supplied him with his materials. What I mean by that is he mixed, bottled, packaged, and shipped GOODFRED oil right there on 54th and Western. He mixed, bottled, packaged, and shipped it worldwide right there on 54th and Western. How do I know? Because when West Coast Record Distributors was formed, we used his same factory. A lot of his machines were still there. His bottling machines there, labeling machines were still there, and he taught us distribution. You know, and that was what he was one of them entrepreneurs, man. He had his own little, it wasn't a big shop. It was a nice size factory, about 10,000 square feet. He had a beauty shop in the same building, and across the street he had another barber shop. And he was just the man. He took something from the ground up and grew it. And when the big boys came after him, he told them no. And he and I had this conversation. He says, "Man, I should have took the money." Because he said as soon as he did not take the money, all of a sudden all the supplies got cut off. He couldn't get no glycerin. He couldn't get no water. He couldn't get no bottles. Everything just got shut down for a hot minute, and he had to go to Canada to get his glycerin. This is the 70s now. He had to go to Canada to get the glycerin, and he said when the glycerin showed up, so did the FBI. They wanted to know why a black man on 54th and Western. This is the height of black revolutionaries.